Hello everyone, Dr. Alec here from Upstate Spine Sport. Another at-home joint training session ready to get after for you today. Today's session is going to be... Hello everyone, Dr. Alec here from Upstate Spine Sport, and we're back with another at-home joint training session. Today's session is going to be focused on the hip, specifically hip external rotation. So think of when that hip is kind of going outwards like so, whether you're doing a bottom of a squat or any type of lunge movement, or even the pigeon stretch that most yoga individuals do while they're in practice there. It's going to be all of that outer hip stuff that typically is tight in most people, and everyone's looking for a stretch to do it. So today we're going to train that stuff and give you some things to add to your repertoire as you go throughout your weeks of training, weeks of life, and weeks of optimal hip health. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get going. Today we're going to start with CARS again. So again, CARS stands for Controlled Articular Rotation, and in that way we're going to do it at the hip today. Okay, so that means we're going to move the hip in a very slow, controlled rotation. So we're doing a big circle with the hip. But again, when we do this, we want to create tension in the system, so not letting any part of the body move besides the hip. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that in the half kneeling position. Today I'm going to go ahead and put my non-training leg, which is going to be my right leg today, and I'm going to train my left leg today. So let's all go ahead and get into the half kneeling position. Okay, grab onto something on the side of the non-training leg. I'm using the rail here just to have as my support, and my training leg is going to be the left one in this upright position. Okay, so again, we're going to do the hip CARS to warm up the hip before we get into the training. But when we do this, I want to make sure that my chest is stable, my leg is driving into the ground, my back leg, and everything else in my body is nice and tense, allowing this to stay stable while I move my hip on my body. Okay? So let's go ahead and get into this position. I have a yoga block underneath my right knee just to give me a little more elevation, to be a little bit taller. So if you have a pillow at home, throw it underneath that bottom knee. But we're going to be training the left hip today. Okay? So let's go ahead and grab onto something stable. I have a railing, you have a chair at home, a couch, anything that just doesn't move and that you can hang on to strong here. The other arm, I just want you to place it on top of the chest, and we're going to make sure that our chest is facing forward the entire time. Without further ado, what we're going to do is raise our hip as high as we can right before the back starts to round. So if I go any higher, my back starts to round. We just want to elevate it just a hair. My chest is still upright here. Once I can't get any further higher, I'm going to slowly open both my knee and foot. Once my leg runs out of space here, my pelvis is going to want to go with it. But again, I'm not moving any other joint besides my hip. So once this runs out of space and I can't move any further, I'm going to rotate my foot backwards, slowly coming around, back, 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 and then back up to the beginning for rep number 2. We have 5 reps here, guys. Slowly open, rotate the foot backwards, kicking the wall behind you, back, 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 trying not to move anything but the hip, so don't let this back extend, and back up for rep number 3. Slowly open, bring the foot backwards behind you, rotating, back, 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 and back up for rep number 4. Nice, slow, and controlled. Make sure we're not moving any other part of the body besides the hip. Back, 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 and rep number 5. Up, to the side, rotating the foot backwards, and back up. Very good. So that's 5 reps going in the forward direction. Now we're going to do 5 reps going backwards, back around, finishing the 5 complete reps of CARS. So we're going to go ahead and come backwards as far as we can. Again, once I run out of space going backwards, my back will compensate for me, but I don't want that to happen. Only the hip is moving. So I go backwards as far as I can, squeezing the glute, not allowing the back to move. Once I run out of space, the knee and the foot rise. Once I can't get any farther here, I rotate my foot underneath, back up into the front position. Continue for rep number 2. Backwards. Open the knee and foot together. Rotate rotate underneath, back up, and rep number 3. Slowly going through mud, nice 1 mile per hour speed throughout the entire controlled articular rotation. Opening up to the side, rotating underneath. Last rep here. Again, not moving any other part of my body besides my hip. Rotating underneath, up to the beginning, and back down. Very good. If you're not warm already, let's zoom that back and make sure we're not moving any other part of the body, but we should definitely be feeling it a little bit more warm in our hip right now, okay? We're going to go ahead and progress to capsular cars now, okay? And we're going to do it out of the same position that we're in right now. So we're going to be chest up, hanging onto the couch, ceiling, or railing, or chair, whatever you have next to you. And we're going to go into that abduction position to do so. So go ahead and follow along with me. Knee and foot come up. We slowly open as far as I can. Remember, the pelvis isn't moving with me. I just move my hip as far as I can until I almost get a big stretch here or contraction here. Keep everything where it's at right now. Knee stays put, but we're going to rotate the foot forward as far as we can into external rotation. Rotate the foot backwards as far as we can into internal rotation. Follow along here. Forward, external rotation. Backwards, internal rotation. Forwards as far as you can and a little bit more. Backwards as far as you can, a little bit more. Forwards as far as you can, a little bit more. Backwards as far as you can, a little bit more. One more each way, guys. Forwards as far as you can, a little bit more. Backwards as far as you can, and a little bit more. Phew! Very good. Again, external rotation is the goal here. Capsule the hip, which that was capsular cars. So you should be feeling all of that happening right around here. And if you are, fantastic. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and move on to training external rotation of the hip. Right, what I said was the focus of the class. So now let's go ahead and grab onto that pillow that I asked you to have, or any type of elevated object, a couple books. Yoga block works great. And we're going to go ahead and get into the 90-90 position. So 90-90 position, we're training the left leg for this entire segment. So what I want you to do is bring the left knee in front of you as if it's straight on with that chest bone right here, okay? And then that knee is going to make a 90-degree angle with the shin. So that's a 90-degree angle. This is a 90-degree angle, okay? Now, the back leg is also going to be in a 90-degree angle. So that right hip bone should be straight in line with that back knee, and then that shin should be at a 90-degree angle with that knee. So this is how it's named the 90-90 position, okay? But again, we're training this front leg right now, the left leg. So we're going to go ahead and set that up and place our object right underneath our foot for right now. So I have it underneath my foot. Already here in this position, I may feel a little bit of a stretch already. If not at home, don't worry, you will here soon. But just have some sort of elevated object underneath that heel to focus or emphasize external rotation a little bit more, okay? Once we're in this position, what I'm going to have you do is you're going to drop down to your elbow, and I want you to focus on this right hip right now, okay? So feel that right hip bone. Do me a favor, while you're in this position, rotate this right hip forward as much as you can until you feel like, nope, there's just nothing left, okay? So just rotate that pelvis forward on that fixed bottom hip. And if you feel a stretch down here, perfect. This is going to be your working position, okay? Some people are going to be super flexible, super mobile, and they're not going to feel a stretch down here. No worries. What we're going to have you do is prop you up to your hand and do the same thing. Feel your right hip here. Close that right hip downwards as far as you can until you feel a minor stretch. Once you feel that minor stretch, boom, that's our working position, okay? So right here is where I feel my stretch, so I'm going to stay here. And now we're going to introduce the Pails and rails contractions, okay? So this is going to be our working position. The Pails contraction is pushing the foot downwards into our object. So for me, it's pushing my foot downwards into my yoga block. The rails contraction is trying to pull my foot off the yoga block. So pails pushing down, rails pulling up. Okay, so follow along with me here. Get into your stretch position. Again, for me, it's on my hand, rotating my hip forward as far as I can. For some people, it may be on your elbow. Okay. Once you feel that minor stretch, we're going to begin our Pails contraction. So pushing your foot downwards into the yoga block. Keep tension in the system, and let's slowly push with 20% pressure our foot downwards into our object. Let's increase that to 40%. And now 60% pressure. Really driving the foot down. Increase to your safest, greatest effort. Safest, greatest effort. Really pushing the foot down, pushing the foot down, pushing the foot down. For 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly relax. Keep everything right where it's at. Now try to pull your foot off of that yoga block, off of that pillow, off of whatever object you have at home. Keyword try. If you're at true end range, that foot shouldn't move, but you're trying to pull that foot to the ceiling as hard as you can for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly relax. Allow that bottom hip to cool down a little bit. And yeah, you should feel a little bit more tension in that bottom hip after doing those contractions. So now what I want you to do is dive deeper a little bit more into this stretch. Rotate that hip a little bit farther forward. Keep that chest nice and tall. And see if you can bring your chest forward a little bit more deeper into that stretch. Again, wherever you feel that initial stretch sensation on the back part of the hip or the side part of the hip, that's our working zone. Okay, I don't want you to go any further. You don't have to be Mr. Superman in the room and have your chest all the way towards that wall in front of you. As soon as you feel that stretch, boom, that's where we can work. All right, on to rep number 2. Starting with our pail contraction, pushing our foot downwards into the yoga block. Start with 20% pressure. Increasing to 40%. Making sure there's tension in the system. We're not moving anywhere else in our body. 60% pressure. 80%. Increasing to our safest, greatest effort. Really trying to push the foot down. You shouldn't be able to pull your foot off the yoga block because you're pushing down with so much pressure for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly relax off of that and reverse. Try to pick up into rails contraction. Try to drive that foot to the ceiling. Keeping everything nice and tense in the system. Don't compensate anywhere else. Try to pull the foot up for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly relax. See if you can dive yourself a little bit deeper into that stretch. Keeping the chest tall, rotating that hip forward. Big breath deep into the abdomen. Slowly let that go. Big breath in. Slowly let that go. Very good. Go ahead, slowly get out of that stretch. Next, we're going to progress to passive range holds. I'm not letting the hammer down on you guys, so we're just going to keep hitting the gas and we're going to keep progressing forward, okay? So what I'm going to have you do is elbow's going to be down. I want everyone's elbow down while we do this. So no longer are we having hands up. Our elbow's going to be down, matching kind of where that left hip is on the ground. I want that elbow to be at the same exact part. So you can draw a line here, and the forearm's nice in a straight angle here. Okay. So we're going to continue to work external rotation on this front hip. But how we're going to do this is that you're going to grab underneath the ankle, and you're going to pull your foot up as high as you can into the ceiling until it just doesn't have any more space. So for me, it's right about here. The thing is, if I were to let this go, boom, my foot just collapsed, okay? So what we're going to do, we're going to train our end range strength here, okay? So what I want you to do is you're going to pick the foot up as high as you can, create tension in the system, try not to move anywhere else. I want you to ignite that rails contraction, so try to pull that foot up to the ceiling as much as you can, and then slowly let that hand go and hold for 3, 2, 1. Then we're going to re-grab and repeat. Okay? We're gonna do 10 reps of this. You're gonna feel all sorts of contractions in the groin, all sorts of contractions in the glute, but we're training the hip and it's all gonna be good contractions. So let's go ahead and progress to it. Elbow down at the same level as the hip. Hand equal with the knee. Good tension in the system. Keep that trunk up like you're doing a side plank. I don't want, sagging trunks like this. Nice up and tall. Go ahead, let's grab our ankle, pulling up as high as we can. It's a nice little bicep contraction for my meathead friends back home, okay? Once we get as high as we can, let's go ahead and start our rails contraction. So try to pull your foot up to the ceiling at 100% pressure. Release the hand, hold for 3, 2, 1. Re-grab, pull to your passive range, hold. Ignite that rails contraction, pulling to the ceiling, hold. 3, 2, 1, right back up. Rails contraction, hold. 3, 2, 1, back up. Rails contraction, up to the ceiling, hold. 3, 2, 1, back up. 6 more reps, guys. Rails contraction up to the ceiling, let go, hold. 3, 2, 1, back up. 5 more, you got it, guys. Let go of the hand, rails contraction, 3, 2, 1, back up. Last 4. Rails contraction, pull it up to the ceiling, let the hand go. 3, 2, 1, back up. Last 3. Rails contraction, pull up to the ceiling, let the hand go. 3, 2, 1, back up. Keeping tension in the system. Don't let anywhere else move. Rails contraction, let the hand go. 3, 2, 1, back up. Last one, guys. Rails contraction, hold, hold, hold. 2, 1, slowly let that come back up. Woo! That got intense very fast. Passive range holds, super fun, super intense, and they train exactly what we're trying to do. What we're gonna do is finish exactly how we started, hip cars, hip capsular cars, and then you'll be able to rinse and repeat that other side of the hip, okay? So let's go back into our initial position. I was hanging onto the rail here. You hang on to any type of couch, object, chair at home. Left leg forward, because that's the hip we are training. Creating tension in the system. We have 5 total hip cars. Starting in the forward position here. Hand here. We're up as high as we can. Slowly open. Rotate that foot backwards as far as we can. Once you can't get any further, come down, back up. Act like the ground is hot lava, guys. Don't let that foot hit the ground. Keep that foot off of it, which keeps that hip working. Slowly open. Rotate that foot backwards. Extend backwards with the hip, not with the back. Slowly up for round rep number 4. Open. Rotate that foot backwards. Very good. Last rep here. Up. Open. Slowly rotate that foot. All the way back, 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 back. And rest right in front. Very good. That's 5 reps going forward, 5 reps going backwards here. Again, making sure tension in the system. We're not moving the spine. We're not moving the pelvis. We're not compensating in any way. We're only moving the bottom hip. Here we go. We're going backwards. Slowly open. Knee and foot. Rotate underneath. Back up. Rep number 2. Not allowing the foot, the knee, anything to touch the ground. Not allowing any other joint in the system to move. Keeping a slow, steady pace as we move through this. Training the left hip, not left hip and pelvis, not left hip and spine. Only the left hip, only the left hip is moving. Open, open, open. Going 1 mile an hour. Last rep here, guys. Slowly back, 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 back. Squeeze the tush. Open, knee and foot. Rotate underneath. All the way up to the beginning. Very good. Last part here, 5 capsular cars. So remember, we're going to bring the knee out into the abduction position and rotate the foot forward and backwards, forward and backwards. So here we go, 5 good reps here. Create tension in the system, pack the air nice and low into the abdomen, slowly bring the knee up. Open the knee and the foot. Once it can't go any farther, keep the knee exactly where it's at. Pull the foot forward as far as it can. Rotate it backwards as far as it can. Only the shin and the foot are moving. Everything else is staying nice and still. Forward, forward, forward. Backwards, backwards, backwards. Push the leg forward, forward, forward. Backwards, backwards, backwards. Fight for every inch. Last rep, guys. Pull forward, forward, forward. Backwards, backwards, backwards. Very, very good. It's intense what you can get done with one little object and with such little equipment at home, but when we train with intent and train with exact a goal in mind, we can get a lot done. So what I want you to do is go ahead, take the playback button, rinse it all the way back to the beginning, repeat with the right hip, and then boom, you'll have about 15 to 30 minutes of 15 minutes of one hip, 30 minutes of total joint work with today's segment. So good job, and looking forward to seeing you guys soon.